I'll speak a little bit about the importance of silence, and then I'll go into insight number 8. It's a small insight. Now consider a plant. Plant growing, and in the soil that it's growing, its growth depends on any surrounding plants, if they're close or far away from it. If the plants are close to it, so let's say there's a plant here, and there's another plant here. We're close. We're surrounded by plants. Now the water that this plant gets through the soil is not only for this plant. The other plants as well, they get it as well. And so this plant gets less water because it's being shared by other plants that are surrounding it. Same with the sunlight and so many other things. So the further away these plants are planted compared to this one, the more space this one has, more space, more water it could take in. The space is similar to the idea of silence. It's about the idea of emptiness. A void. It's a void, a space, allowing things to occur in there. So for this plant to grow healthy, it requires a space. Imagine yourself in your life, if you're living in a city, spaces that people that are surrounding you. The more populated the city becomes, the more it is difficult for you to get around. It often occurs in very big cities that when you go to a supermarket, if you go there late, they might not have enough of your food. They might not have the food that you want because others have taken it. So notice the importance of silence, the importance of the space. You require space for you to grow mentally, nutritionally, in many ways. You need that space. Without that space, you cannot grow as strong and healthy as you would normally. Think about the amount of stress that other people put you through. Just walk through the streets, others across from you, bumping into you, trying to weave in and out of traffic. Sometimes a lot of the times that you can't get to where you want to go because of traffic. Space. So allow yourself, make for yourself, arrange for yourself silent time or silent times throughout the day, especially in the morning, especially at night, especially in daytime at a particular time in daytime, and also throughout the day, even though there may not be a physical space in certain circumstances, give yourself a mental break, mental space, a mental break, a mental space, because you need that to even think. You need the silence. So make some space, allowing yourself to develop in every way. In silence, also, you'll notice the rustling of tree leaves when there's wind. Subtle things you'll notice. This is a great advantage, that in silence you can become aware of things, many things that are small, minute, that are imperceivable. You cannot be aware of these things. You cannot see these things. You cannot notice them when you're in a situation of chaos or busyness, or surrounded by much activity. These things, many of them will go unnoticed, as if they didn't exist. And many of these things, many of these small, minute things, are actually the sources of the problem, or they add to, are the hidden reasons behind various problems that you have. Okay, so now we go on to insight number 8. I'll read it first. Think on your own. It's a big statement there. Huh? Think on your own. Perceive and understand objectively, apart from lust and other mind-altering influences. Do not readily accept the reality which others present. So thinking on your own, wow. Play with ideas. Think creatively. Think openly. Think about innumerable ways about any subject matter that you want to. Now, here, of course, we're talking about lust. So therefore, you want to be open to understanding about and being creative, having creative thoughts about relationships, lust. What is going on here? You know, you want to think, have this mind working very openly, trying to perceive what is really going on. So you need to have your mind like a scientist, objective and open and inquisitive. That means asking questions and curious. What about that? How does this work? Why do I have that thought? You know. So you need to perceive, that is, become aware, see, observe, and understand objectively, truthfully, apart from lust. You have to be able to see that lust is a mind-altering influence. You have what? What do you have? Alcohol, that is a mind-altering influence. Various drugs are, whether medicines, some herbs are, as in various edible herbs. Many things could be mind-altering influences. Games, video games, so many things. Somebody talking to you. So you want to be able to identify what are mind-altering influences. For example, you're sitting there talking to somebody, or you're thinking on your own, and somebody says, hey, let's go over here and do this, let's go over there and do that. Now suddenly you find yourself swept up into an activity which you didn't make a conscious decision to get involved in. You know, it wasn't entirely up to you. Some guy comes, your friend, and says, hey, let's get into this, and you're like swept up by the whole emotion of the thing, or you're just not conscious, not aware, you know, and you just, you're just going along with it. You go along with it, and And you know, whatever activity you were doing, which is such as thinking or whatever, just sitting there, whatever you were doing before, halfway through the night, when the activity is done, this place that you went to, and you're thinking to yourself, I didn't want to go there. You know? So you want to identify what is altering your mind and get away from those influences to be able to think clearly. Obviously, when you're having lust, I'm not saying for you to abandon lust, and but that would be, what's the word for it? Unrealistic. If you're thinking lustfully and you can't get away from it, you're just thinking lustfully. You're just thinking lustfully. So I'm not saying for you to abandon it. I'm saying that recognize that this lust and many other influences in life are actually altering your mind. And you have to be extremely savvy. You have to be extremely clever. Like let's say you go someplace and you are approached by somebody who is a shrewd, clever trickster of some sorts, trying to get you into a business deal, trying to get you into something to steal your money, whatever. You're very cautious and wary. You go, I don't know this guy, you know. They're telling me to get into this thing, you know. I'll trust him with my money, and who knows what's going to happen, or go someplace. I don't know this guy, you know. So you have to be very shrewd and very aware, very clever, and understand. Hey, when lust approaches, hey, you don't know this stuff is. You don't know if this stuff is true or not. You just know you're feeling something powerful, and I'm saying to you, hey, maybe what they're presenting, that is the idea of lust being presented by society, by certain sections of society that are presenting lust in a certain way, when they show you how to be active sexually, what activities to get involved with, how and with whom, and what time, and how to do it, and how to feel it, and how, you know, what to expect from it. Maybe all the stuff that they've been telling you isn't exactly the truth. So I want you to be aware. You don't want anybody to fool you, you know, by putting a wool over your eyes, tricking you, like you're telling you stories that are untrue, giving you a reality which is a pseudo-reality, a fake reality, made up. You don't want to be lied to. So what I'm trying to say is that you have to be very, very careful and aware and very, very precise to figure out, hey, you don't want to be tricked. So you want to be very precise and aware what is going on. You know, it's like buying a car or buying something that's quite expensive, and you don't want to be tricked. Even if it's something small, you still don't want to be tricked, you know? So you observe it very carefully. So that's what I'm encouraging you to do. Observe this lust very carefully. So do not readily accept the reality which others present. Also, before that was getting away from mind-altering influences. You want to be able to see things clearly. Notice, for example, sometimes you're feeling agitated about something. Something is bothering you, and your whole life perspective is now, you're feeling bad and sad today. But actually, if you really look at life in a big way, that small thing that is agitating you, you know, you're like, it doesn't matter. Life is so beautiful and wonderful, phenomenal, you know. So that, focusing on that one little thing that is agitating you, it's mind altering. It shifts your perspective of reality into this limited perspective which is bothering you, and you know, the whole perspective of life is askew. It's gone awry. It's gone incorrect. It's an incorrect perception of life. Your mood, you should not be sad and agitated about life in general based on this small little thing that's going on, right? So this small thing is mind altering, and you have to become aware of that and not allow it, disallow it, because you want to be able to think about life as a whole, genuinely. So you have to figure out what is mind altering, what is changing your moods, your thoughts, and get away from that in order to see things clearly, which is about silence, having the space to think clearly. Why? Because you want to discover what is going on with this lust thing. And you have to be very precise, because what they're presenting is a bunch of lies, and you have to try to figure it out. You want to figure out, hey, what's going on here? Some of it is true, some of it is lie. How do you sift through it and figure out which is true and what is not true? And why do I feel so powerfully sexual? This is what you have to say to yourself. Why do I feel lust? And all this stuff. Okay, good. So do not readily accept the reality which others present. So just because they show on a sexual program of some sorts, they're having a phenomenal time, don't just readily accept it. Say, wait a minute. What's going on here? Consider the fact that what they're presenting may not be true. I want you to have a fresh mind, think alive and being genuine and aware. If and when you get involved in a relationship, whether it's being sexual or not, in every aspect of a relationship, become aware and don't act based on programming. Become aware of the moment of now when you're interacting with the relationship with the person you're interacting with, and experience it really as it is, instead of robotic behavior. Why? Because you want to perceive and you want to proceed to develop and build an understanding of relationships, your thoughts about relationships, your emotions, her emotions, your emotions, sexual behavior, sexual thoughts, lust, and all these things. The sexual feelings, I should say. Not lust, but sexual feelings and all these things. You want to perceive them in reality and build your understanding of them. Your thoughts, emotions, your relationship, sexual feelings, and all these things. Build an understanding of them from the ground up, from a reality, from a real perspective, as opposed to just sitting there watching something being told to you, this is reality. No, you want to be aware of reality right then and there. And this slowly builds your understanding. Proceed to build your understanding of what you're experiencing. You, relationship, interaction of thoughts and emotions and sexual feelings and whatever else. And how they all fit together. All these things. You will be building your understanding of these things based on reality. See? As opposed to fantasy. Illusion. Alright. Now, obviously, since you have been exposed to, a lot of you have been exposed to a ton of powerful, manipulative misinformation from various sexual programs, including how society paints a picture for you of how sexuality ought to be like. So this has been ingrained in you. You've been programmed with it so much, and for so long, that it's hard to just get away from it and start to think clearly from the beginning. No. So it's normal for your mind to think of relationships a certain way, your thoughts and emotions a certain way, and sexual feelings a certain way, because you've been programmed. So that's normal. It takes a while to deprogram yourself and observe things in reality. So that's normal. Don't beat don't beat yourself up. Um, don't be worried about how thoughts creep in about the way you think about things. This is normal. Slowly but surely, these thoughts will fade away once you are being an alive, conscious, and aware person, as opposed to just living a programmed life. Soon you'll start to shed away all this garbage way of this thinking and seeing reality as what it is and building on an understanding of it. Yes, you're trying to understand yourself, your thoughts and emotions, her or him, his thoughts and emotions, her thoughts and emotions, your partners, that is, or people in general, and sexual feelings, and all these things as a whole. How the whole world operates and you in reality. That's insight8. Boiling it down, it's just telling you to be real. Now, when you're being real and you understand that maybe what they're presenting is various sexual programs is not really true. When you really contemplate that, then it has the potential, a powerful potential to free you from, I would say, 95%, over 95% of sexual supposedly sexual forces, lust and stuff. Because you don't know if what they're saying is true. You're just being swept along with it.
Why? Because you and people generally fantasize about things to actualize them. Fantasize about actualizing what you think to be true. And once you realize that they are not true, then a large part of the fantasy actually goes away.
So here I'm going to give you now, if I haven't already, a little something that one of the ex-porn actresses gave testimony about how on the sets of various sexual programs they're having sex on a daily basis, or pretty much like this. Some of it, of course, quite forceful because of the number of times they have sex during the day, throughout the week, as well as being forceful. All these things together make it so that their private areas, their genitals, are hurting, pain. They are forced to continue doing so. I'm rephrasing what this ex-porn actress said. They are they're being forced to perform so much because of contract. The contract says so, so they're told to go on set and perform. Now, they are in pain. They don't want to have sexual interaction, but they're forced to. So, because of contract and all the stuff, so they're told to do so, and so they've loaded up on pain medication, so that they want to stop feeling any feelings at all. They don't want to feel any sensual feelings at all, and they just load up on pain medication to stop all sensory feelings. And so a lot of them died because of many of these people died. The porn actresses and actors died because of overloading of pain medication. So they took to taking drugs and alcohol to numb the pain and to get through the sometimes horrific sexual interactions that they're involved in. A very specific example was given that a man with genitals of 12 inches was ramming his genital organ into another female who couldn't possibly take all of him, but nonetheless he was going all the way inside her. And so she said, "Where do you think the penis is going? Where do you think this genital is going? Because she can't possibly contain it all. And she said, well, it's going to her, it's pushing to other internal organs. It's going within her and messing up her internal organs. This is not pleasurable. This is crazy. It's like a torture of some sorts. Other thing that she said, gave testimony, is that scissors were inserted as a threatening method in females' genitals. A female was brought to a set. She was told to, perform. She came to a set supposedly to take to have a video session, and there's no cameras. And she says, "There's no cameras." He says, "Perform," and she says, "But there's no cameras." He says, "No, you're under contract to perform, and I want you to perform." In other words, to have sex with him when there's no filming. She said it was linked to prostitution. Many of the porn actresses are take money to have sexual interaction with other people, and it's advertised. Go and have interaction with this person, the star of this program, blah blah blah, for thousands of pounds or dollars or whatever you want to say. They're not enjoying it. That's the thing. I'm laughing because it is so the opposite of truth. Very strange, in other words. They are not enjoying it. They're presenting to you, oh, this is so fantastic. Oh, this is fantastic. Their oohs and ahs are really, really convincing to the men, to many men, because men are not women. So they can't tell. But usually they can't tell. But women notice that. They go, she's faking it. She's faking this. Yes. So they're presenting a reality which is fake, actually. They're fake. They're fake. Now, 90% of women who try, this is one of the things I saw online, statistics, 90% of women who try doing a sexual program get involved in making a video, making a video of some sorts. The experience was so terrible, bad, horrific, undesirable that they never get involved in it again. So the 10% that are left over who get involved again, now they're signed into a contract, become virtual slaves. Well, I would say from the 10%, I would say more accurately, some of them will become virtual slaves. I don't know the percentages of how many are under various contractual whatever slave contract. Anyway, so so it's fake. So here they're presenting this what seems to be so phenomenal, supreme acting, Oscar nomination, and the guys watching are like, wow, and same females watching are, wow, no, it is not real, they're faking. It's like saying, oh, this delicious medicine, it is so delicious. So delicious. They're selling you a product. All right. So, and so people fall for it. Many people fall. Wow. This messes up their own life because they're focused too much on this instead of their own ambitions, their work, their play, their people's study, their. So if they're students, it messes up that too because it occupies their mind instead of focusing on studying, instead of focusing on... think about the number of politicians who are supposed to be doing their job. Anybody, anywhere, doing their job, are supposed to be doing the job, but their mind is really filled with these various sexual presentations, and they're like because what they're presenting is presented as something unbelievably fantastic, but it's a lie. Oh yeah. So I was one day walking on my sign on my. I was walking with a sign about sexual addiction. This lady stopped me by herself. I was on Oxford Street as I was walking, and she said on her own. She just said, I worked on a set videotaping sexual episode program, and it's the most boring place. It's all acting. She said it's the most boring place it could be. Imagine that, yeah, because it's all acting. That's right. I remember going to a game show once, and I liked to go to this game show because it appeared to be so exciting. Oh, the frenzy of it all. Anyway, so I went to this game show, and I experienced firsthand what is actually going on there. Fake! They're telling people to yell and scream very excitedly. On cue. They light up even light, saying clap now and this and that and ooh, ah, and all this stuff. Oh my God. Sure, some people are genuinely excited because they have the potential possibility to win something. They're happy to be there, but they're not that excited. Anyway, so it was all behind cameras. I mean, even the audience couldn't see the set very clearly because there were so many big cameras in front and cameramen, It was all for the show. It was all for the TV show. It's what they're presenting to you. It's all about presenting it on television so that the viewer at home goes, wow, this is really phenomenal. Exactly, that's what's going on. All right, good. So that's what's going on with various sexual programs. I remember talking to a guy who had a sexual experience, and he was telling me, it's really odd because I fantasize about being sexual with women, but when I'm actually with a woman, I was really surprised that it's not that phenomenal at all. It's like blur. Very uninteresting, very uneventful. Yes. And people are puzzled. Why is it that reality of the situation doesn't match the illusion presented? It's because it's an illusion. Okay, very good. Also, what I wanted to mention is obviously from the 90% of the women who are, and the young ladies usually, who are involved in making sexual programs, obviously there is some sexual feelings, obviously. So there is some aspect of enjoyment there, sure, yes. Some slight, some middle, some quite phenomenally good. There's no doubt about that. And the influx of all these 90% that come in, and one time you see them, never again, is a lot. And so that's why you get to see a lot of variety of women there that you'll never see again. A lot of variety, and this, of course, feeds the curiosity of many people because they generally don't get to see, many women in the nude, and to have the person become sexual, is very enticing to the men, because they don't generally get to see that or experience that in any sort of way. So, yeah. So that aspect of it is, of course, is true. All right.